I was out in Iowa City interviewing Caitlin Clark back at the end of October and kind of asked her what was going to go into her decision process. And one of the things she told me was that she was hoping to make the decision before seeing.
Caitlin Clark is making waves in the WNBA draft, and after everything she's been through, it's no surprise. Just a year ago, she was the shining star, the face of the league, filling arenas and making headlines. But now, after enduring the harsh, often unfair realities of the game, the humiliation, the behind-the-scenes manipulation, the racial slights, and the countless uncalled fouls, she's had enough. Caitlin isn't backing down, and her voice is louder than ever.
Knew what she wanted to do, and I love it because I've been through a senior day. It's a really emotional experience. It's a great time to kind of say thank you to the
ESPN has only fueled the fire with their own nonsense, and now Caitlin Clark's message is louder than ever. This time, she isn't speaking just for herself. She's speaking for the countless young girls dreaming of a future in basketball, unaware of the steep challenges that lie ahead.
We haven't quite seen a phenomenon in terms of the attention that Caitlin Clark is getting in the women's college game.
If you're not familiar with the details yet, let me break it down for you. The event in question is the WNBA Draft Lottery. Every year, the WNBA brings in new talent from colleges and international leagues, the best of women's basketball. But don't be fooled into thinking it's as simple as teams picking their top choices. Behind the scenes, there's a tangled web of politics, favoritism, and questionable decisions that shape the outcome.
It wasn't something I ever really thought about too much. I was aware of it just because of the media and that's what people would talk about a lot, but it was never something oh my gosh, I need to do this or I need to break this. It's kind of just something that has come with.
Oh no, it's far from that simple. Instead, we got this incredibly chaotic lottery system, a game of chance with sky-high stakes. Teams aren't just competing for talent. They're battling to pull their struggling franchises out of the basketball abyss. For them, it's not just a game, it's a fight for survival.
Dude, look at the WNBA. They have been playing in front of 300 to 400 people a night for a quarter of a century.
Why, you ask? Because landing a top draft pick is a complete game changer. For teams that have been stuck in mediocrity, barely scraping by, and losing just enough games to stay afloat, securing that first pick is everything. We're talking about the kind of talent that could bring hope, players like Caitlin Clark, who don't just perform but dominate, lifting their teams out of obscurity. For these struggling franchises, it's akin to striking gold after years of searching through rubble. It's hope, a chance at redemption, and honestly, it's the only thing keeping their fan base from walking away altogether.
For somebody that don't watch WNBA basketball, to have women dunking on other women would definitely bring more excitement to that game.
So, how does this wild lottery system actually work? Buckle up, it's kind of absurd. For teams are vying for the #1 pick, but it's not just about how badly they performed last season. Teams need to be consistently dreadful over the past 2 seasons to have a decent shot. Take the Los Angeles Sparks, for example. They've endured a couple of painful seasons that make any diehard fan cry into their nachos. They have the best odds, but don't get too excited. The odds are just that. Odds, no guarantees. The actual drawing involves a lottery machine, 14 numbered balls, and a room full of sweating executives. It's fate, but with a competitive twist. Essentially, fate disguised as a sport.
We're only playing basketball to dunk? I'm not sure.
The suspense is nerve-wracking because when those balls start bouncing around, every team executive is holding their breath, praying to any higher power that their combination pops up. Only the top 2 picks are determined through this chaotic process. After that, it's all about team records and whatever luck remains. If you don't secure one of the top 2 spots, well, better luck next year. Hope in this league is a fragile thing.
No.
Because listen, y'all are doing the step back, the pull back. Y'all doing everything we're doing, but I don't see a lot of people going up with 2 hands and back.
Oh, it's coming. Opportunities are.
So you don't think if we just drop it to 9, 10
Nah,
and a half?
I guarantee.
Flash?
Layla, she's into dance, but my next child will be drop step dunking.
It's not just about chance. It's about dreams, a desperate longing for change. Teams are clinging to the possibility of a miracle player who could turn everything around. Just look at Caitlin Clark. She arrived and completely transformed the Indiana Fever's narrative. Now, every struggling team is crossing their fingers, hoping they'll find their own savior. But let's face it, talents like Clark don't come along every draft. Even with the lottery god smiling, there's no guarantee of a life-altering pick. Still, that slim, glimmering hope, it's worth everything.
So, the 2025 WNBA Draft obviously is headlined by Paige Bueckers. Paige Bueckers, one of the best players that there's been. Obviously, she kind of came out last year. But if she was in last year's draft, she would have been the number 2 to Caitlin Clark.
So, when you hear about the WNBA Draft Lottery, don't just think of it as adding new players to the league. Oh no, it's an emotional roller coaster. A do-or-die moment that has the power to change everything for these teams. It's a lifeline, a desperate plea for relevance, and sometimes the only hope that keeps these franchises alive. All because of a few numbered balls spinning around, deciding their future.
Yep. The Mystics with a 10% chance with number 1. LA with 2. We had Dallas at 3, Chicago at 4, and then obviously 5 through 12 are all the same. So,
when it comes to the 2025 WNBA Draft Lottery, desperation is practically seeping out of every team executive's pores. Let's break down the misery, shall we? First up, the Los Angeles Sparks. Remember when this team was a powerhouse, dominating headlines and stacking championships? Those days are long gone. The Sparks are in deep trouble with a record over the past 2 years that's uglier than a turnover in the final seconds of a game, 22 wins and a stomach-turning 55 losses. This season alone, they managed a jaw-dropping 8 wins against a soul-crushing 32 losses. It's the kind of performance that keeps executives up at night, probably whispering, "What happened to us?" Their fans are over it, tired, frustrated, and clinging to the hope that the lottery gods will feel merciful and grant them a lifeline, a chance to rebuild what once was greatness. Next, we've got the Dallas Wings, and let me tell you, they're not exactly flying high. With only 9 wins and a brutal 31 losses in 2024, their combined record over 2 seasons sits at a not-so-pretty 31-49. But here's the kicker. They share those odds with the Chicago Sky, making it a desperation tie. The Wings got a taste of the playoffs in 2023, but that spark fizzled out real fast. Now, they're back in the trenches, praying for a draft miracle to ignite their franchise, hopefully in a good way.
It means the Mystics can go for it. Like, the Washington Mystics getting Paige Bueckers means they can go out next year with a lineup of Paige at the 1. You've got Sykes and Atkins at the 2 and 3. Who, again, like, the 3 of those players together will all be, like, any of them can dribble the ball.
The Chicago Sky aren't any better off, sitting at 31-49 over the past 2 years. They share that 22.7% chance of snagging the top pick, and let's be honest, they need it just as desperately. In 2024, they stumbled to a disheartening 13 wins against 27 losses. Sure, they had a moment of playoff success in 2023, but since then, the wheels have completely come off. Sky fans are just one more disappointing season away from storming the front office with picket signs. They need a player who can turn this sinking ship around, and it all rests on a handful of bouncing ping pong balls.